All right. Thanks again. Happy New Year to everybody. We do have a couple things here on the agenda. This is pretty customary that we consider this is what we call our organizational meeting. And this is where we will outline tonight, we will select our new vice mayor for the year of 2021. We also have a piece of legislation on our agenda tonight, and it's simply concerning the application to participate in the OPWC State Capital Improvement Grant program, and that is for the Chester Road project. Is that correct, Tim?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, very well. So those are a couple things, as well as we'll go over some rules of council, and then hopefully we can wrap this up in as most speedy process as we can. How does that sound, everybody?
Sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call this Woodlawn organizational meeting to order. Today is January the 12th, and I have 6:09 as our start time. One moment. Roll call. Garrett Burkhalter.
Present.
Esther Boyd. Esther Boyd.
Here. Sorry.
Rosemary Brown.
Present.
Robert Lawson.
Present.
Kiana Trayview.
Present.
Here.
And Pam Fitzgerald.
Here.
Thank you. Right. In front of you, do you all have the minutes from January 9th, 2020 in front of you?
I do not.
I do not.
January 9th?
Yes, this was from the organizational meeting. That was on January 9th of 2020.
Oh, I wouldn't have been a part of. You said 2020. Last
Correct.
year.
I don't have them in front of me.
Okay.
I don't
I
either.
don't either.
Would we like to table them until our council meeting at the end of the month, or would I like for me to just summarize what was discussed in that meeting? What's
Doesn't
council
matter to me.
Summarize what was discussed.
Very well. So we did meet on January the 9th, 2020. I did call the meeting at 6:13. We did meet up at BJ's up in Tri-County for dinner that night. We talked about the Charter Review Committee because the Charter Review was forming at that time back in January. So we talked a little bit about that. I began a little discussion about the 2020 committee meetings. And I did suggest combining a couple of those meetings. I talked about that as well. We also talked about that the Finance Committee and the Law meeting will be held on the last Monday prior to our full council, the week before. It will be the Monday and Wednesday prior to our full council is what we decided on. We talked about a discussion of scheduling committee meetings besides finance and law during the month when we have committee of the whole. Ms. Boyd stated she had a conflict on Tuesday evenings because of her school schedule. And I think we've been accommodating to that throughout the year. Did that work out for you, Ms. Boyd?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I also entertained a motion for nominations for vice mayor. Mr. Lawson nominated Ms. Brown. Ms. Trayview nominated herself. And then we took the roll call on the votes. And Ms. Brown was the vice mayor for the year of 2020. Ms. Brown asked everybody to review the current rules of council and bring any proposed changes to the law committee meeting that was scheduled on January 22nd of 2020. She talked a little bit about the process that she, the vice mayor, would sign off on any travel that took place in 2020. We talked about the Pike and Bar Grill was changing ownership and reapplying for a liquor license. We found that no issues and there was no opposition to granting them that permit. Ms. Brown asked each council member to write down 3 committees that they were interested in for 2020 as she was compiling that list to form the committee and chairs. We mentioned something about the Woodlawn Inc. And how we best can leverage it as a resource for the community. Mr. Burkhalter, he had talked with Mr. Sanders about not moving on the concert series until council has the opportunity to discuss further in February. And then we talked about the discussion of the interview process for the open council seat that Ms. Fitzgerald currently holds. And we had a total of 5 applicants. And the deadline for applying for that was on January the 10th. And we started the interviews on Monday, January the 13th, the 15th, and the 23rd, all of which took place at 6 o'clock. Tax incentive review. We just needed to appoint council members to that. Tree board as well. Board of Controls, which is down at the Recreation Center. That came from, that we'll have to do some appointing to that as well. Ms. Boyd did show some interest in that. And then there was a hearing that was going to be scheduled for MVAH partners on January the 28th at 6:45 to discuss the potential zone change for from R3 single family to RM PUD multifamily. And that project is underway. Rita was going to be on the agenda for the January council meeting. And we just asked that any materials given, that we just research and review any materials that was given to us before any meeting. And then we, Ms. Trabue made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:49, and Mr. Burkhalter seconded that motion. Are there any questions about the summary of that meeting? Having none, if everybody is okay with the brief overview, I just need a motion, to accept those minutes as written from January 9th, 2020.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes from the January 9th, 2020 organizational meeting.
Second.
All right, motion been moved, properly second, all ayes.
Aye.
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 All right. Yeah, appreciate that. All right. I'm trying to write as I go to Ms. Brown as well.
I'm writing too.
All right. Very well.
I will make let you guys know that we did not approve the council's rules last year, so we'll need to make sure we do that this year.
That is correct. And I got a note right here that we did not. We looked over it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Very well. Okay. All right. All right. So the first agenda that I like to entertain on our agenda tonight is that we need to establish a vice mayor for the year of 2020. And so at this time, I'm opening the floor for any nominations for vice mayor for 2021.
I make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion.
Kiana Trabue for vice mayor.
I can't hear. I hear Bobby. I hear Doobie.
I make a
It's
motion.
the same motion.
Kiana Trabue as vice mayor.
All right. There's a motion
I'll
on
second
the
it.
floor for Kiana Trabue on the floor. Is there a second to the motion?
Bob seconded.
Okay.
I second it.
No worries. All right. Just
Thank
one
you.
moment, please, y'all. Just bear with me. Garrett Burkhalter,
Aye.
Esther Boyd,
Yes.
Rosemary Brown,
Aye.
Robert Lawson,
Aye.
Kiana Trabue,
Aye.
Pam Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Very well. Congratulations, Ms. Trabue, for
Thank
being selected among your peers for the 2021 Village Council Vice Mayor. Congratulations.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Burkhalter and Mr. Lawson for the nomination.
All right. If I could just pause real quickly and just kind of go back, I just want to talk about 2020 in that role. Ms. Brown has been nothing but of a great assistance to me over in 2021 and 2020 for the betterment of the village. So I just want to thank you for your time that you gave us, and we're going to continue as a team to just plow away out there.
No problem. Thank you, and thank everyone for their cooperation.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, one moment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lawson. You're like, thanks.
Somebody like that phone, don't they?
Mm.
Mr. Lawson, he's playing us a song.
Yeah. Playing on the phone.
Yeah, I know, right? That's all right, Bob. Okay. All right.
And I don't know if you have,
Do everybody have a copy of the rules of council?
can I just say something?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you have it written down or something for you to get to, but as vice mayor, I was approving the clerk of council's time.
We'll go over that with her.
Okay,
I'll go over that with her.
okay.
Yes. All right. So does everybody have a copy of the rules of council in front of them?
I do, January, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Pam, you're nodding up there saying, yeah, you do?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Ms. Boyd, do you have a copy? Ms. Boyd, do you have a copy of the rules of council?
You're on mute, Ms. Boyd.
Okay.
Yes, I
I
do.
lost her. Look
Yes,
like-
I do.
There you go. You got a copy out there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good deal. All right. So, team, if we could just look into that, and we'll just go down the rules of council, the rules of order. The rule number 1, newly elected officials. All newly elected officials shall present their certificate of election. We did not have an election that brought any new bodies to the body here, so we kind of don't really need to look at that. Rule number 2, council meetings. The council of the village of Woodlawn shall consist of 6 members. Council should meet at 7 o'clock on the last Tuesday of each month. Does anybody have any concerns of this section, rule number 2? All right, having none, we'll go on to rule number 3, holiday meetings. When any regular meeting of the council falls due on a village observed holiday, council may reschedule the meeting, or if there are no outstanding issues, cancel the meeting. While I see that is not a problem, I thought that in our charter, it said that we must meet at least 1 time a month. So that tells me that we can be very flexible as long as we make sure that we meet at least once a month.
Is it just once?
Yes, the charter says that the full council has to meet at least 1 time a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
All right. Rule number 4, open proceedings. Any questions about the holiday meetings? Rule number 4, open proceedings. The presiding officer should take their chair at the time of appointed for the council to meet and shall immediately call the members to order, and the clerk of council shall call the roll call following the pledge of allegiance and prayer. The presiding officer should then seek approval for disposition by the council for the minutes of the preceding sessions. In the absence of the mayor, the vice mayor shall perform such duties as are imposed upon the mayor. In the absence of both the mayor and vice mayor, the council may appoint a temporary chairperson or presiding officer. Does everybody understand what that means?
Yes.
Mhm.
Any questions about what that means back there? All right. Having no questions, rule number 5, rules of order. In the absence of any rule upon the matter of business, council shall be governed by Robert's Rule of Order. The law director shall act as a parliamentarian. Any questions about that?
I don't have any.
All right. Rule number 6, order of business. So the business of the regular council meeting shall be transacted according to the printed agenda available to the public at every council meeting as follows. Is there anything in this agenda that we feel that we can take out or we can add something? Anybody have anything in there? Anybody have anything in that one?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Good stuff.
Number 13, approval of bond contract. What did we do that?
What? Huh?
No, never mind.
Okay. Did you say 13? Or 3?
13, I said.
Okay.
We're
All
good.
right.
We're good.
I do want to just notate that footnote down at the bottom of that. Rule number 6, the presiding officer of council may at any time permit a member to present an ordinance, motion, or resolution out of the regular order for the same unless the same be objected by the majority of the members present. Okay. Let's deeper dive into number 7. I think this is kind of where we really need to dive into. All right. At no later than the first regular meeting of the council after its organization, the vice mayor shall appoint 3 standing council members to each committee, naming one as the chair and one as the vice chair. The chair should preside over his or her respective committee meetings. In the event the chair is absent, the vice chair may preside. Council shall have committees regarding the following named subjects. All standing committees will be held at 7 o'clock. Each committee has the option up to 4 times per year to change the scheduled time with the consensus of 2 committee members. Let's keep that in mind about the number of times that we can make a change in terms of time. Okay. So let me just kind of back up a little bit. We've been talking, I know last year Mr. Burkhalter brought it up, and I think this is another good time to talk about it again. Do we see where we can bridge a couple meetings together? Do we see that we can do that? I do. What does council see?
I agree.
You think that we can, Pam? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got any feedback on that? How you feel about that?
I agree, but also wondering which, I think I heard Pam and Mr. Burkhalter say they agree. Did you have a sense of which 2 you'd like to combine?
My vote is safety and public service if possible.
That's what I was thinking about as well.
So, Mayor,
Safety.
are you going to leave it open?
What? I can't hear you, Doobie.
To have a separate meeting?
Say it again.
Are you going to leave it open to have a separate meeting if we need to? Reason I'm thinking, let's say, for instance, on both of those agendas, you have 6 things or 7 things apiece on both of those agendas, where you know it's going to be a lengthy meeting. Do you have an option to call a single meeting?
I would say yes.
Okay.
I would say yes. Wouldn't y'all agree, team?
I'm not, I don't.
Okay, tell me more.
I think that basically going back to what Mr. Burkhalter is saying, leave your 6 standing committees. And if there is nothing to be discussed, we don't have that meeting. That's what we've been doing all along. But then you talk about you want to combine safety and public works. Well, remember, safety comprises fire and police. And sometimes, well, we know sometimes police can get kind of lengthy at times. I mean,
I think some of the meat of,
what's the whole purpose? When we signed up knowing that we had committee meetings that are going to be held. There's time that we're going to have to give up. We committed to this. And so now I'm seeing that you want to combine meetings so as to cut down on the meeting time that people are coming out. I mean, to me, this is my thought. This is a commitment. When we made that commitment, we should have been aware of what was expected of us. Okay.
I don't think that we're running from our commitment, Ms. Brown. I just think that we're trying to streamline a process.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we get in, and I'll give you an example. If we could focus on the meeting at hand, oftentimes we get in this meeting and we're talking, for example, we could be talking about finance and we're all off to the right talking about something about recreation.
Well, then it goes back to the point where you're not having I'm sorry.
Yes.
You're not having the proper time for a recreation meeting. When do you get to talk about recreation? I'm just using that as an example. I'm using that as an example.
Right.
That's my thought. Okay. I just feel like if everything is hunky-dory, we can get in there for an hour and out, and that's it. You can combine these meetings, but in an effort to really try and to get the village and keep it going into the direction I believe all of us would like to see it go in, we should give that opportunity for each one of those committees. And if there's nothing to discuss, then we don't discuss it. If there's one or two things that need to be discussed and we see where we can add it to another meeting, do that.
Well, whatever the majority of council looks at, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just trying to streamline our process. Oftentimes, again, we come out here and we spend so much time not focusing on that committee. That's all I'm saying. Ms. Boyd, did you have a question out there?
You're muted.
A comment. I agree with Ms. Brown as far as the commitment and the individual meetings. I understand what you're saying too as well, Brian and Pam. I understand what you're saying. It's a lot of meetings. A lot of times we don't have the substance that we feel we should have, but I absolutely agree with the commitment and what we committed to do, we're committing to do when we were ran for office or we were part of the council.
Okay, it looks like that's an ongoing conversation, and are we saying? You're pointing. Oh, there you go, Pam.
I just think we have an opportunity to try to make change to possibly, maybe I said this wrong. If it's not combining the meetings, maybe it's trying to have a set meeting, maybe having a couple of these meetings on the same day. Maybe this is just a suggestion. If we were to combine, if the group votes to combine, say, safety and public services, maybe we have one at 6:30 or 7, 6:30, 7:30, one from 7:30 to 8.
I like that
That's
idea,
just a
Pam,
suggestion, just to try to streamline it. And I just think we should look at possibly updating and changing it.
So question, can we do safety? And can we do safety like an hour before public service? I mean, we won't cut the chair people out of their position, but at least we give them that hour and then we go to the next hour.
That's what I was saying. Same thing.
Right.
Bobby.
I get what you're saying. Now, please keep in mind, as we just talked about
Time of the meetings.
Rule number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to keep in mind of rule number 2. Now,
And,
the
and
other-
I'm not saying, and let me just piggyback on that, what I just said. It doesn't have to be, I just use that as an example.
Oh,
of
yeah, I
safety
get you.
and public services. It could be, I know, just from my experience last year, that some of the law meetings went pretty fast. Some of them, were shorter than others, but, maybe it's something that we could combine law with. I'm open, but I think we should keep discussing it because I think there is room for opportunity there.
right.
I
I get you.
definitely wouldn't want to combine the law with anything.
And I just want to make it public. It's not about the commitment for me. I believe in substance and getting down to the root cause of things
Right.
and trying to solve issues. And I know what I committed to. I, definitely respect that and uphold that to the fullest. But if there's opportunity to make things better and make change, I think it's good that we're discussing it.
What, Kiana?
A lot of what I was going to say, Pam said, so I agree as far as the commitment. I understand what Ms. Boyd and Ms. Brown are saying. Absolutely. We committed to this and we signed up to this as it stands with the 6 different committees. But I am all for an opportunity to make things more efficient and streamlined if we can. But I also, whatever the body decides is what we decide. But I think you had mentioned we need to discuss it further, but if at all possible, it would be great if we can make a final decision before this meeting ends tonight so that we know.
I agree. Now, with the council, another thing is, what about a council working session, which would be so you meet the first Tuesday or the second Tuesday or however that looks, and then you're coming together in full council at the end of the month.
I'm
Council work
definitely,
session.
yeah, I'm definitely in agreement with work session. And I do believe that there was some changes in the charter that gives us an opportunity to expand on being able to go into those council work sessions where we're able to sit down and discuss. It's not that I'm not for change and efficiency. I totally am. But I just feel that just saying right off the bat that you're going to combine meetings. What's the difference if you don't have a meeting when we don't have anything to discuss, or at that time, that month, that particular month, we see, well, there's only a few things that we're going to need to discuss, their recreation and public works, and we just say, we'll have those meetings together, one right after the other. But also I would remind that we're putting it out there that we're starting our meetings at a certain time, typically 7 o'clock. So if you're going to combine those meetings, or if you're going to have 2 meetings in one night, then the first one should start at 7. When we've only got, it says 4 times per year. I think that's a bit much to change the times. I think you should only be able to change times maybe twice per year.
Well,
remember, you got people that are wanting, or we're advertising that they're open meetings. Not everyone goes to the website. Not everyone is tech savvy to know that. How are we getting out that this particular meeting on this particular day is being changed? You're doing the robocalls. That's all well and good. Not everyone is on robocalls.
okay, but Ms. Brown, while I understand that, and you saying that you wouldn't change it no more than 2, as long as we are following what it is saying in there and we are giving the public ample notice.
Are we really?
Well, yeah, we have these things posted. Like for tonight's meeting, it was posted on the website and it's also posted on the door, just like we normally do.
Back to my point. Not everyone is going on the website. Not everyone is tech savvy. Not everyone has a computer to go onto the website.
Now,
not everyone is coming down there. I understand that. I will definitely go along with whatever council decides.
Right. I mean, but at the end of the day, we're in a pandemic, and how do we we can't force people to go on the website. It is the way of the world right now, right?
I understand that.
I mean, so as long as that we are making sure that that meetings is posted like it is supposed to do on the door out there, then we done what we're supposed to do, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
That's a good point, Mr. Poole.
I'm just saying we following we following what we're supposed to do. Now, if we go over and change the meeting 6 times out of the year, that poses a problem because it says that we can't do that no more than 4. And I don't think that we as a council really do a lot of changing in terms of schedules. I don't see that. Am I missing
think that we
something?
do either, and that's why I say I would, in my opinion, 4 times. It's a bit much.
But again, you never know.
That's just my opinion. We don't have to
Right.
delay it.
Okay.
Continue to
All right.
discuss it. I believe you got Tiana and Pam's hand up. And Ms. Boyd.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I speak, Mr. Poole?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I hear what you're saying, Ms. Brown, and I completely agree. We're not gonna be able to get the information out to everybody. We can make a good faith effort to do that. But I think there's always gonna be some folks that fall through the cracks. The other thing I was gonna say, and what made me think of this, Mr. Poole, is when you talked about the pandemic. I think if anything we can learn from last year is that we do need to make sure we're always in a position to be flexible and adaptable, and be able to make change quickly so that we can continue to meet. Unfortunately, we weren't necessarily 100% prepared for the pandemic, and we did have to make some changes to our meeting schedule. We weren't meeting for a while, which is not good either. But again, that's no fault of any one person or all of us as a body. But as we start thinking about this year, what can we learn from 2020 and what we had to do in order to prepare us going forward so we don't run into the same issues, we don't have to cancel meetings and those sorts of things or scramble at the last minute to try to put things together. So with that being said, and we're talking about us having the opportunity to change meetings at least 4 times, while at first glance that might seem like a lot, but just thinking about, what if we have to shut down again for some reason and we have to cancel?
I believe that number's in there for contingent. Right.
Yeah, I think is good to keep it that way.
Right. Okay. All right.
And I just wanted to make a comment that, combining doesn't mean that we're not going to have substance in the times that we do meet.
Right.
We have council that we can bounce things off at the council meeting if it's, some sort of emergency. I respect Ms. Brown's, what she's saying, but I just want to make it clear that just because we're trying to combine a couple meetings in one day or shorten them a little, it has nothing to do with the substance that we're going to talk about during the meetings and the things that we're trying to accomplish as a body.
And I would like to ask, they can use telephone too, right? You can telephone into our meetings.
Dial up.
The community can telephone. I know some of the elders, like myself, some of the elders use telephone for church. So I was wondering if we they can use telephone for these meetings, right?
Yeah, but that link is listed on the website.
Okay.
That they can dial into. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I thought so. That when I heard you were talking about computers. Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any questions surrounding rule number 7? Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
What's the outcome?
Ms. Boyd, you have a question? Ms. Boyd.
You're on mute, Ms. Boyd.
Ms. Brown asked a question.
Your hand was up, Ms. Boyd.
Right, but she had asked a question before you called on me. What were you saying, Ms. Brown?
No, what was our outcome? What was the takeaway with that discussion, from that discussion? What was the takeaway? Was it decided that we would be combining meetings or what?
That's my pleasure. What is council's pleasure? My pleasure is to, again, streamline, but become efficient. I mean, continue to be efficient. I like Pam's, how Pam described, doesn't take away the meat of our meetings. that we deal with. I mean, I just don't see that taking away anything. It's just, again, slim lining the processes.
So are you saying instead of 6 standing committee meetings, we're only gonna have 5?
I'm not taking away any committee meetings. I'm just combining them on a particular night. Am I saying that correct? Because you said 5.
Mayor,
No discussion was.
Huh?
We have
Mayor.
6 standing committees.
Correct.
Are we gonna leave that as is? We have 6 standing committees?
Yes.
Because if you're going to combine, you're only gonna have 5. So we're having 6 standing committees.
you
Okay.
can have two
Talking
different
about
chairs.
combining the meeting days and not combining the committees.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you. Correct. Mr. Burkhalter, you had a comment back
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things, this is one of the reasons our meetings take forever.
Correct.
Simplest thing is to get a consensus. So I'm for consolidating the meetings. So who is anybody else for consolidating the meetings?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do we need to put a motion on the floor and then vote?
I would.
Mr. Burkhalter, you wanna?
I
So
make a
you
motion.
saying consolidate, so make it clear, are you saying consolidating or consolidating on the same day, or? I think you have to be specific.
I think that's a decision for the vice mayor, since she's going to be the one that's going to be putting together the committee and the chairs.
Let me ask a clarifying question here, please. Because I was looking through the rules of council and I don't see it. However, I do believe our charter very specifically outlines when committees meet. Is that correct? It has the day and the time. Is that correct? Where is that located?
I believe you might be right. Let me see if I can.
Let me grab my charter. Let me
Yeah.
go and grab my charter.
So if that is the case, I'm not certain that we can
Yeah.
even do that because that's in the charter,
Hold on.
Let me get mine too, hold on.
at least not officially as a part of this meeting. Now, if we want to do that one off, I think we
No,
can.
I don't understand why they would put that in a charter, because
That's why I'm trying to remember. I should go grab mine, but I know I remember reading that and it was very detailed. It went through when the committees meet.
hopefully they just put that we would convene once a month, not
Yeah.
on specific days.
And it might not be, I might be making that up, but I thought I read that where it was really, really specific.
That the council shall not be required to hold more than 1 regular meeting in each week. The meetings may be held at such time and place as prescribed by ordinance and shall at all times be open to the public.
So maybe it's an ordinance that we,
My understanding is we're just we're combining the night, like you might have 2 meetings in one night, right? It's the time. Like
that's what
you
we're
might
talking
have
about, yeah.
safety the same night. And yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
I just wanted to double check that it wasn't in the charter, because I remember seeing that somewhere.
I'm like you, Ken, I do remember seeing it. It's not the charter.
And also, we're getting ready to talk about the times of the meeting, or is this a part of this? That all standing committee meetings should be at 7 p.m.?
Yeah, that's according to our,
So we'll be changing that?
if we decide.
That's Rule 7. Because if we had 2 meetings in one night, then it would have to, you couldn't be that specific to say 7 then, right?
Yeah, you would have,
was starting your first meeting at 7.
right.
But if it says all have to be at 7. I
That's what
thought,
it says now, but we
Say that,
yeah, so,
Hey, Kiana.
but
Yeah.
then that goes back where it gives you the opportunity to change it 4 times a year.
right.
okay, but, okay.
Okay. So I'm hearing that the pleasure of council is to do some combining of meetings. Is that what I'm hearing?
Days, right?
Is that correct?
Yeah.
The date, right? The same, you might have 2 meetings. Say you might have 2 committee meetings on Wednesday, one starting at 7, one starting at 8 or 6 or 7 or something like that. Is that what I'm understanding? You're not, are you actually combining the meeting? the substance.
No,
No,
no.
just the night. Yeah, okay.
So, all right, so I'm hearing that that is council's pleasure to combine those meetings. Is that correct? Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's not but I will go with whatever council wants.
The consensus of the
The
body, is
consensus
that
of
what I'm
council.
hearing?
Yeah, I'll go with the
Okay.
consensus.
You're saying the same day, right? Is that, I just came back, so is that what you're saying?
Yes. So,
Okay.
for example, a recreation could start at 7, and we might say that a whatever next meeting could be at 8 o'clock. It could be at 7:45, and I think that's based on the chair understanding what type of discussion that could come out of that meeting. So, for instance, as I said, recreation, hey, currently, Ms. Boyd only have one item on that agenda. It could take up to 30 to 45 minutes to discuss that one item. At that point, I think that we just need to work better at understanding what's going to be on our agenda and talk about and stick to what's on our agenda. I think a lot of times that's what goes on and goes longer is we get into discussions about things that are not on the agenda. Does that make sense or answer the question, Pam?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, okay. And so I do want to, I just want to make sure from a legal standpoint that that is something that we can do. So I've made a note, Kiana, but I would just continue to move forward by organizing those committees, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So can follow-up question.
Sure.
It says here that the meetings start at 7 p.m. And I know that there's a provision in there that allows us to change that up to 4 times per year.
Yes.
Is there an opportunity to change that time, or do we want to keep it at 7 o'clock? Because I'm just thinking, to your point, if we have one meeting start at 7 and it goes until after 8 o'clock, and then another meeting, you know, is that going to be too late?
Okay.
If you change meeting, and I'm speaking only for those that are working, I believe the 7 o'clock time was to give those people that worked ample time to come home to do whatever they needed to do and be able to make the meetings. So if you change that time, I know a lot of people now are working from home. You don't know how long that's going to be. Either it doesn't matter to me. I'm retired, so I can be there at 5:30. I can be there at 6. But when you go to think about changing the times, outside of doing it the 4 times per year, are you thinking of changing the standing time?
I was just asking if to have a discussion about that. I don't have an opinion either way. I was just thinking, you know, if we're combining 2 meetings in one night, then you also run into the possibility that you're meeting until 9, 10 o'clock at night.
I agree.
Right.
So
Okay.
you don't have to change it. I just wanted to, you know, make that point so we all have
Right.
that understanding.
Right. Well, I have made some notes and I'm gonna get some answers behind that, okay? Yes, Ms. Boyd.
Can we do we have to put 7 o'clock? Standing committee meeting shall be held at 7, or maybe after a time, after 5 or something. I don't know.
That's what I'm
be more.
That's what I'm gonna
generic.
look into.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna look into. Because I know a lot of committees, a lot of communities, they have a lot of their meetings start at 5 o'clock.
That's a good idea.
5 and 5:30, they have those meetings start. And, you know, I know that we want our public to be part of our meetings all as possible. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to take into account our schedules as well. Everybody's,
Right.
so.
I like that. If we do that, I understand people work as well.
I love 5:30, 6 o'clock.
It would
meetings.
enable me to attend more meetings.
Okay, but I'm gonna look into it, okay?
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions about rule number 7?
So we're not gonna decide on that tonight either then, right?
Well, it sounds like that the majority of this body wants to combine the meetings, combine some committee meetings. My question has to be, can we move the start time? Because the start time says that we have to start at 7 o'clock is what I'm reading into the charter without it being in front of me. Does it give us, how does that work? That's all I need to know.
So,
But you also have in that rule where you said you can change the time up to 4 times per year.
That is correct. But if we're having a monthly meeting, and that's 11, at least 11 months.
Well,
Yeah.
How
yeah,
often
why-
are you going to be combining?
so Mr. Poole, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
We have the opportunity to make changes to these rules of council tonight, correct?
That is correct.
So the next question then is, if we want to change the meeting, change this language where it says all standing committee meetings shall be held at 7 p.m. Let's say if for an example, we want to say change it to 6 p.m. We can make that decision tonight, correct?
Well, I'm saying yes, but again, I want to make sure that it's nothing in the print. Do you have your charter in front of you?
I do. I'm reading it now and I don't see that. I don't know where I read that, but it must not have been in the charter.
Okay, so it's nothing in there about standing committees or anything like that?
It doesn't say what time.
It does not.
So
Well,
it really
it doesn't
doesn't state a time. I think that that's perhaps a time that has been set over the years. That's
Correct.
kind of what I'm thinking. So yes, if that is
That's
the,
what it, yeah, that's what it was. Just taking consideration those people that work and to give them an opportunity. So to Ms. Kiana's point, if council wanted to change that to 6 p.m. tonight would be the night to do it.
well,
I don't know
or
that it,
can we have it more generic? Kiana, is there any way it could be
No,
said in a
we
more
have to be
generic way?
specific
you have to be very specific.
in the rules of council.
Yes.
Because the reason I said that is, you could have somebody. So if we had a council person that worked at night, then they absolutely couldn't be on council anymore because they would have, if they were chair, it had to be in a committee meeting or something. I'm just wondering.
I'm not for sure where you're going.
Well, I'm just saying, when you make it a little more generic, then yeah, I know you have those 4 times a year, but
Yeah, but it has to be, we have to have some consistency as well.
okay.
Correct. So kind of to your point, Ms. Boyd, in terms of kind of going all the way back, being available, standing up to the duties that we signed up for. So if I have a second shift job, I need to take in consideration, is this going to work for my schedule, for my council schedule? And if it becomes a conflict month over month, perhaps that conversation will be had with that council member because you're not giving the time that is required of you. Does that make sense? So I want to make sure that whatever we do is conducive to our schedules as well.
Isn't there something about there's so many meetings that if you're not available for so many meetings, but I think they're consecutive.
I don't recall that. I don't. I really don't recall that.
Yeah, there is.
All right, so.
Hey, I got one thing. I was looking at the calendar from last year and Public Works and Rec in March 4th, we've had Rec at 6 o'clock and Public Works at 7. Since it's every other month, and we did the same thing in July. We had Rec at 6 and Public Works at 7, July 1st. So
now,
we did do a little bit of this. I know with COVID, I think, or some other things, but I'm just saying we did do a little of that last year, just saying we're gonna have it at 6.
right.
And since it's every other month, it's not every month.
Right.
Right.
It seemed to work out from what I recall before. So I think it can be done. But I just wanted to say that example because I have the old calendar in front of me.
Okay, good stuff. All right. So with that being said, again, that's the consensus. I just need to make sure that the questions that I wrote down, I feel comfortable with the answer behind them. So it sounds like that we want to combine some meetings and perhaps move some start times. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions again on rule number 7?
Yes, sorry, I'm gonna ask my question again. Because according to the rules of council, rules may be amended, altered, or new rules adopted at any council meeting by a vote of the majority of all council members elected. So, meaning, can we just nip this in the bud tonight?
You
Because I
can.
think we just have a tendency of
Ba-
stuff.
Based on that, based on what you just said, that tells me that yes, you can move on that tonight.
Okay, so I think that there was a motion on the floor from Mr. Burkhalter, but I don't think we got through the voting part of that. Is that correct, Mr. Burkhalter?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you mind repeating that motion, please?
I make a motion to consolidate the meetings.
I'll second that.
I'll second it.
All right. All right. All ayes.
Aye.
All right.
Are there any objections?
Nay, and I'm saying nay because you didn't say which 2 meetings you're gonna consolidate.
Wouldn't that be
But-
up to the,
It will be up to the vice mayor,
Okay, all
Correct,
right.
right?
correct.
Okay. To consolidate those meetings.
Okay.
And so I just want for the record, because I'm writing some notes to compare with yours, Ms. Brown, are you opposing the consolidation of meetings, correct?
No, go ahead.
No, okay,
No.
okay. Okay, all right. Rule number 8. Any other questions, Kiana, concerning rule number 7?
Yeah, just going back to the other discussion, we talked about the start time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, again, we have this provision in here that we can change it up to 4 times per year. But if we're talking about consolidating meetings, does it make sense for us to go ahead and change this language that currently says all standing committees shall be held at 7 p.m.? Do we have the opportunity to change that language to allow a little bit more flexibility?
I think so.
Okay. My concern with it is that if we keep it the same, the first part the same, all standing committee meetings shall be held at, and we say 6 o'clock, then I think we're, again, pigeonholed to 6 o'clock, other than this 4 times per year, we're allowed to change it. So I don't know if that's what council would like to do, or if we want to just keep it at 7. But again, we have to make sure we're staying within that 4 times if we're going to change some meetings. Because otherwise we're breaking that rule.
I didn't
I
have,
say for the ones that you combine, my vote would be to have it start at 6 if you're combining 2, just because you got 2 meetings that are happening. And like you said before, it may run a little later to, till 8 or something like that, or 9, a little bit later.
With the 2?
With the 2, but I would say if you're having 1 meeting, if you could leave it at 7, that would be my vote, to leave it at 7. But if you combine it, just start a little earlier.
I think you should be consistent. Either you're gonna start your meetings at 7 or you start them at 6.
Well, when you have some meetings you're not gonna have 2
The
meetings.
public all over. Why don't you just say you're gonna start your meetings at 6?
Can you say 6 or after? Is it some way you can put that in there?
No,
I have
no.
a suggestion.
It would be 6 or 7.
I mean,
Yeah, that's-
you're just talking about a couple meetings, so, I mean,
Mayor,
it's,
Hold on. I'm hearing voices back there, team. I'm trying to reel us in.
Mayor,
Mr. Burkhalter, I hear you back there trying to talk.
yes. Wouldn't the simple language of what Kiana, the language that's already in there, and add unless properly notified, and whatever we do, if it's a 24-hour, 3-day, unless notified of a time change, wouldn't that cover it?
So the other thing that I was thinking though is Because we already had some discussion and we said that we believe it probably makes sense to combine safety and public works on the same night. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that being the case, could the language read, all standing committee meetings shall be held at 7 p.m. with the exception of the safety meeting, which will be held at 6 p.m. And then when it's scheduled out, I would schedule safety at 6 on whatever day and public works at 7, and then everything else remains at 7.
Sounds clear to me.
But you're pigeonholing yourself because you might want to change 2 other meetings. I'm saying
Thank
at
you.
some point in time, it might be finance and law that need to meet together.
Right,
Correct.
It might need to change the time.
exactly. So why not just change the time to 6 o'clock?
I would be okay with that, but I didn't know if everybody else would be.
And that way you're covered.
And then what,
Meetings in one night, you starting at 6. And the rest of them start at 6 too.
Okay.
Or
So
just
let's-
leave it at 7 and then it just be every other month. Or I'm not sure if you're making other changes, but
I like
just
that.
leave it at 7.
The 24-hour notice thing that Judy was saying.
well, we already have
Is
that.
nobody is nobody have a want to start your meetings earlier than 7 o'clock?
I would.
That's why I said 6.
That's fine. I don't even know why I'm talking.
Well, you're talking because you're part of the discussion.
Agreeing with you. I mean, it's fine. I'm just saying it's fine, whatever you do.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what I'm talking. It's fine, whatever you do. That's all I meant by that. It was not sarcasm at all.
That's okay.
Oh.
All right. So
Like,
did you?
it doesn't matter to me. I'm retired. I'm here all day. So it doesn't really matter to me. I just consider those that have to come in from work. 6
Man.
o'clock seems like a good time to me.
Now I'm being
Something to
sarcastic
consider.
because you started the meeting at 6:08 and now it's 7:08 and we've been on this one topic for 1 hour.
Well, that's what happens when you have people and they have a discussion and they can't make a decision right off the bat. So that happens sometimes.
And this is for a year.
And my vote is just leave it at 7.
Okay.
Leave it at 7.
All right. What's the consensus? 6 or 7, so we can move on.
6 is good with me.
Make a motion, Ms. Brown.
I make a motion that the meeting times change from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m.
I second it.
All ayes.
Um,
Aye.
Any opposition?
Me. Pam.
Okay. Thank you.
So once we adopt this,
All right.
once we adopt this,
Um,
we have to make sure that it gets on the website and any other publications
course.
that we put out.
Of course.
Okay.
Newsletters, any other publications that we put out.
What about a publication?
I said, once we adopt this, we have to make sure that it's put on the website and any other publications that we put out, meaning our newspaper.
Website.
The website, our newspaper, any place else that it may be printed, that our times are starting to change.
All right. Are we ready to move on to rule number 8? Rule number 8, reports of the committee. The report of the committee of the council or municipal officer concerning matters referred to council shall be made in writing and shall be accompanied by the original papers upon such report is based unless otherwise ordered by council. Anybody have any questions about what that is? Okay. Rule number 9, reference to committees. Any report, resolution, ordinance, or matter to come before council for the consideration except appropriation ordinances, including any request to censure a council member, before their final passage shall be referred either to the standing committee to which the subject matter is most closely related or to a committee specifically appointed by the presiding officer. Any questions about rule number 9? Rule number 10. Rule number 10 talks about voting. Every member present shall vote on any question on the call of the yeas or nays, and any member who refuses to vote on any questions when the yeas and nays are being taken shall be deemed guilty of contempt of counsel. Does everybody understand what that is? In other words, you must vote.
Mhm.
Violators of this rule will be subject to any ramifications under state law and further subject to public reprimand or censure as approved by the majority of council. This rule shall not apply for any abstention for reason of actual or possible conflict of interest. Every member's vote shall be respected and should not be subjected to further critical or negative commentaries. Any questions about that? Rule number 11, introduction of legislation. Ordinances and resolutions shall be introduced by members of council, only members of council, present or through the law director by direction of members of council. All new proposed legislation, ordinances, resolutions, or amendments thereto shall first be referred to the appropriate committee and the law committee before being presented to council. The law committee shall advance all legislation to full council unless a majority of the members of the law committee vote affirmatively to hold or otherwise not advance the legislation. Does everybody understand what this section means, in which I have some concern about?
Mhm.
My concern is that we are allowing 3 members of council to either hold or move something to full council for a vote. I don't know how everybody feels, but I feel that nothing should be held in a committee and the inability of full council to vote on that. Anybody have any take on that? I'm listening. Go ahead, Kiana.
Just a question, and excuse my bad memory if I'm remembering this correctly, but it was last year, 2020, when we made a change in the number of council members that served on each committee. Is that correct? Because prior to that, did we not have 4 council members?
You always had 3.
We always had 3. Okay,
Mhm.
so,
You
okay,
have to have an odd number. Because if you only have 2 people on the committee, chair and vice chair, and the chair doesn't show, you don't have a quorum to have a meeting.
correct.
So you have to have a majority to have a quorum.
Correct. I was just wondering why, because I don't think we had this discussion last year.
Mhm.
I was just trying to determine if something changed as to why this became an issue, or if it just always has been and we just never made a change to it.
Okay. Well, I'm asking that council considers a change in that. Some votes, I just feel that if it's a vote for full council, shouldn't we have the opportunity for full council to vote on that? We have 2, 3 people that are stopping something in committee.
I agree. I'm just not sure what the resolution to that is, because to the earlier point, if we have a chair, a vice chair, and then a member of the law committee, that's 3 council members, then there's 3 council members that technically are not required to be at the law meeting. Right?
Correct.
So
Because
how
they're
do
not on that committee.
Right. So
Yeah.
then how would we give the opportunity for all 6 council members to vote on whether or not legislation goes to full council if not all 6 are part of law committee?
Well, it tells me that we need to change some verbiage in here.
Gotcha.
Ms. Brown, did I hear you? Ms. Brown, did I hear you?
I'm thinking.
Oh,
You don't need all 6 council. Say what you said again, Kiana. Because
Oh,
the way it's set up now, 3 members on each committee. If one member decides if they are not for the legislation being discussed, that doesn't stop it from going to full council because you have 2 committee members that are in agreement and it goes to full council.
right. But the opposite
Right.
is
If
true.
you have 3 people that says, 3 committee members that have a problem with a piece of legislation and they're asking it to be tabled or to go back on the agenda for the next month, then it doesn't go to full council.
Correct, and that's
Your
what.
your problem, Mayor, is you don't feel like the committee should have the ability to stop something from going to full council. That's
correct.
the question.
That's
That's your
correct.
issue.
Yes.
Did you still want me to,
Do we know? Is
Do we
there
know?
more of a hidden reason as to why this was set up that way? Do we know what that reason is?
I don't. I'm just looking at as it's written. I don't know any history behind all of this and why it was put in place. I really don't. So I'm looking at what is written and how do we move forward. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm not for sure why these rules were written the way they were written.
Mayor, the
It
reason
gives
I,
us the opportunity on a yearly basis to look at them and make any changes that we agree on. Go ahead, Mr. Burkhalter.
I don't personally have a problem with the way it's set up now, because if you really look at our council body, if 3 of us are in agreement to stop something from going to a full council, it must be something that within that language or whatever that is concerned that all 3 of us are in agreement.
Right. It has to be something very strong, right? That you would have 3 people that are opposed to it, as opposed to going ahead, taking it to full council and then giving you the power, the mayor, whomever.
I don't have vote. I don't have power, Ms. Rosemary. Remember, I don't
Listen,
vote.
please. You have the power if it comes to council and it's a 3-3 vote. You
That's
have
my
that-
only,
That's what
correct.
I'm saying. That's what I
Right.
was saying. That's where I was going.
But
So,
again, real quickly, what happens if, again, you're on 3 people on that committee? One of them is the only one that wanted that to go to full council.
then it
So
goes.
now you have a total of 4 people on the other side that has the ability to vote through full council without my vote.
But the point
Right.
is, if you've only got 1 person and the other 2 committee members are in agreement, you have more of a possibility of that progressing further, I guess is where I'm going.
Mhm.
I really don't have a problem with this because to me, it just seems like there's more of a deeper issue, something more behind it, some type of more of a substance or something. How many times have we gone to this where we've had the issue where 3 people in 1 committee did not agree for it to go to full council? I really can't think of a time. There may have been, but I really can't think of a time where maybe once or twice, and I think it may have been some have to do with wages, maybe.
You said when it was a tie, is that what you mean? Where I'm trying to see
If
where,
there's 3 people,
right.
if there's 3 people,
You're on mute, Miss Brown.
if there's 3 people on the committee and they decide they don't want it to go to full council, the mayor feels like it should be able to go ahead and go to full council because the mayor, if you have a 3-3 vote, the mayor has the option of breaking the tie, not option, he has
Yeah,
the.
we've had that happen.
Right.
in 2020. That's happened.
We've had that, yeah.
That happened.
We
Like I
had
said, it may have happened, but I don't remember it happening often.
Okay. So,
But I don't know that that is, and Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that your comments were related to breaking a tie vote during the council.
that's not
meeting.
the intent behind that.
Yeah, I thought.
I
that
just
you
want to
were-
make that very clear. It's not giving me the opportunity to break a tie because again, I don't have the voting power. I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that we're saying that 3 people can hold up what the other 3 people could strongly feel about. I don't know how you feel about an issue, right? I don't know which direction that you're voting. So
Piggyback on what you're
it's not
saying.
for me to break a vote. That's not my point. I'm just saying that I want the council to have the full opportunity to vote on something without being held in committee. And
But
I'm hoping that the majority. Go ahead.
Going back to your point, if you've got 3 people that are opposed to it and you have the other 3 that is, then
All
that
right.
comes down to a tie.
Okay. At this
I think
point,
I think we're talking 2 different things. I think there's some confusion because I think what I hear Ms. Brown saying, she's talking about something coming before full council for a vote. But Mr. Poole is talking about before it even goes there,
to
it's
full council.
presented in law, you have 3 people making a determination of whether or not it even moves to the full council meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
We're talking committee right now. We're not talking about voting on the
Correct.
floor.
Correct.
I know exactly what you're
So,
talking about. I think we're
so-
talking about the same thing. It's just being said different. You don't feel like there's in the committees, you don't feel you have a problem with 3 people being able to stop something from coming out of committee. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's kind of the same thing with suspension of the rules. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you.
you know, you can have 2 people stop it for three different meetings.
Mhm. You're right.
Well, that's true, but sometimes I'm not for sure if we understand what the suspension is. The suspension does nothing but stop to eliminate the other 2 readings that are required. That's what the suspension of the rules is. It doesn't stop a vote. So is that what you're referring to?
Yes, it postpones it for
It
3.
does postpone it,
Mhm.
but at the end of that 3rd reading, it goes for a vote.
Right.
So I think that there's I don't know if you want to call it not a misunderstanding of what the suspension of the rules is and what does it do. But it only, like Mr. Burkhalter said, it only just pauses the process. But the full vote will come out after the 3rd reading if we get to that far.
Yeah, but sometimes it gives an opportunity to go ahead and express your views on whatever the issue is. And it may be that upon continuing to be able to express your views, that someone else may say, oh, I didn't think of that. And that may change their thinking.
But again, a suspension of the rules, you can suspend the rules and still have debate or comments or questions. That's when it comes to the passage. The passage and the suspension are 2 different things. Suspending the rules is just either fasten the process or slowing it down, as Mr. Burkhalter indicated. That's all the suspension does.
And slowing it down sometimes gives you an opportunity to think of things that you did not think of.
Okay. All right, what is council's pleasure on rule number 11 now that we've kind of went through that? And what is council's pleasure?
I think for me, I won't speak for everybody, but for me, in order to really have an opinion on it, I would have to know what the proposed change would be. If we're not going to keep it the same, then what's the suggested change for us to consider?
My opinion would be to keep it the same.
Any feedback on that? It can remain the same. It doesn't bother me either way. I just thought that this gives an opportunity for something not to be stopped in committee, for me to get the ability to vote on something that I feel strongly about. Not as the mayor. I'm not speaking of that. Let's be clear there. I'm just saying from the other 3 people that are on council, regardless of how you're looking at it from how the votes would fall. Just because I get a tiebreaker doesn't always mean that I'm in line with what is being proposed. Be clear with that as well.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's true. No, I
Okay.
wasn't making it personal.
No, not at all. I just want to be
Okay.
clear with that. Okay.
But Mayor,
So I'm okay with it. Yes, Mr. Burkhalter.
my question is, how many things from a committee meeting go straight to council other than from law? Like, how many things in finance or rec bypass law and go straight to committee?
Sad part about that is that it has been happening and it should not.
Well,
Everything out of every committee should flow into.
Ms. Brown, can Mr. Burkhalter finish, please?
No, I'm saying, Ms. Brown, I don't recall. Give me an example of what's bypassed law and went straight to council.
I can't say right off the top of my head, but I know there has been times when things have bypassed law. We haven't been steadfast on that role, but you're exactly right. Every committee, everything that comes out of every committee should flow through law. And then from law, it flows through full council.
If it's a piece of legislation though, correct? Is that what you're referring to, Mr. Burkhalter, right?
Yeah, if it's
Okay.
that's what you're referring to as far as voting on as well, right?
Yes, piece of legislation. I just want to be clear.
Right.
Yeah. So I hear the consensus that we are going to leave rule number 11 as is.
I'm good with it as it is.
That's my vote.
Very well. Let's move on to rule number 12.
Can we go back really quickly? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Because the other part of that last couple sentences, copies of proposed ordinances and resolutions shall be delivered to all members of council, the mayor and the municipal manager at least 3 days prior to their introduction at a council meeting. I'm not sure that always happens. I'm not suggesting that we change that, but what I'm suggesting is that we hold to that in 2021.
It does.
I think the majority of those do. There are times, Kiana, when pieces of legislation will come down and we don't have, and I don't see that a whole lot, but I agree with you that these should be presented to us prior to these meetings for review, if at all possible.
Yeah, because there's plenty of time. There's times when we get things the night of, an hour or two before.
Correct. That's what I'm referring to.
And it happens. A little too often for me.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll underline that as well, Kiana.
Sometimes it's because of things that are out of our control.
Correct.
Like I said, we're
That's what I was referring to.
There's a whole lot of things that are just, turned this year upside down. So I agree with Vice Mayor. We need to make sure that we really can, hold to that.
Yeah, that's not, just for clarity, that's not anything negative against Monica. Because I know oftentimes
Monica gets her, Monica gets her legislation. I'm sorry. Monica gets her paperwork from other entities.
Correct. That's why I said a lot of times she's waiting on other people.
Right.
Correct.
For her to do her job.
That is correct.
And sometimes there are things that happen at the last minute.
Right.
And rushing trying to get it through.
For example, when we had the issue a couple weeks ago last month about the fire truck stuff, they were having deposition that day. It was something was going on from a court standpoint, and it came down that pike. Then I just recall something like that. So from time to time, I agree that maybe we could look at that and control that, but from time to time, it's going to happen. So we all have to be aware of that. But we do want to make sure that those that we get better in that area. Okay. Kiana, did you have any other questions about that one?
Nope.
Okay. All right, rule number 12, acceptable motions, order and precedents. When a question or a proposition is before council or under debate, no motion shall be received except the following. To lay on the table, meaning to just table that particular issue for the previous question, to postpone to a certain day, to commit, to amend, to postpone indefinitely, or to adjourn. The several motions shall have precedence in order in which they are herein arranged. So any questions about that? Rule 13, motions when debatable, withdrawal. When a motion is made and second, it shall be stated by the presiding elder. Lord Jesus, I'm thinking of church, y'all. By the presiding officer, my Lord. By the presiding officer before any debate shall be in order. Any such motion and any amendment thereto may be withdrawn by the movers thereof at any time before decision. Any questions? Okay. Rule number 14. Rule number 14. These rules are, or any other rules may be temporarily suspended at any meeting of council by a concurrent vote of the majority of all council's members elected, except when a greater number is required by law or by these rules. The vote on such suspension shall be taken by the yeas and nays and entered on the journal. In case any rule shall have not been adhered to by council, the same shall be regarded as having been suspended. Any questions? Rule number 15, division of question. For the sake, I don't want to keep going through these and we're not really needing to do anything. Do we see any issues with rule number 15, division of question? Rule number 16, to refer. Rule number 17, limitation on debate or discussion. All right, so I just want to make sure that we understood what rule number 17 is. No member of council, while council is in session, shall engage in debate or discussion with anyone. The presiding officer, another member of council, or someone who has either been granted by council the privilege to address council or is present at a council meeting upon invitation of council. All such debate or discussion shall be governed by Robert's Rule of Order. All right, rule number 18, communications, petitions, and claims to the general public. Any questions about that? Now, it does say in there that we are to grant a maximum of 5 minutes to address council. I'm not big on that. I am not big on that. I will exercise that if need be, and I don't want that to change, but I'm not really big on that. When residents come down and they want to voice their concern, if it's respectful to council, we will let them, if it's not too lengthy. But if it becomes one of those issues where it becomes a heated debate, I have that authority to cut that person off at a maximum of 5 minutes. Any questions about that? In the event, real quickly, in the event that we have an overabundance of applicants to address council, it is deemed by the mayor or village council to, excuse me, to be numerous to handle in a regular council meeting. Meaning if we have too many folk that are wanting to address council, we do have the right to schedule a special meeting of council for the purpose of hearing those applicants, whatever their concerns are, okay? Again, we don't want to do that as well. All right. Rule number 19 is the adjourn, talking about the adjournment of meetings. Okay. Number 20, rule number 20, hearing before council. Any questions about that thus far? Rule number 21, conduct of mayor and council persons. I like to just read this because I wanted to just be very clear what our role is and what we should be acting upon out in the public's eye as public servants. The powers and the duties of the mayor and members of council by the village charter. And so they are sanctioned by that charter, state statute and village ordinances. The mayor and all council members shall conduct themselves at all times with courtesy, civility, and decorum. The mayor and council shall be respectful of the time given by citizens to attend public hearings and council and committee meetings and endeavor to hear from them in a prompt and timely manner. Any questions about that? Bottom line, y'all, we know how to act. We don't even really have to really go through that, okay? Rule number 21, to conduct of the mayor and council persons regarding personnel. Any questions about that? In terms of who reports to who and all that good stuff, okay? Just remember that we have as council members, mayor and council, we have 3 reporting positions that report to mayor and council. That's the finance director, municipal manager, and clerk of council. Okay. All right. Rule number 23, travel policy, talking about the policy of travel. Number 24, evaluations. And we made a vow as council that we were going to keep up on all of our evaluations in 2021. You know, the vice mayor last year took a very good lead at that and done a good job making sure that those were done. So we want to continue that as well. Resignation, rule number 25. It talks about resignation. Okay. Rule number 26, return of village property. I think that kind of goes with your resignation. You resign, you need to return all village property, okay, within 30 days after coming off of your, terming from the office, okay? Rule number 27 is talking about the amendment. Anything, rules that may need to be amended. And any questions about any rules, team? No questions? Now, Kiana, do you need to make some changes? I know I made some notes to get some answers. Council, would we be ready to approve these at our regular scheduled council meeting at the end of the month? Yeah, okay. Everybody good with that? All right. Any other questions about the rules of council? Is January 26th, are you looking at your calendar, Ms. Brown? Is it the 26th for full council meeting?
Oh, I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Okay. I think it's 20. It is.
I
Okay.
have you.
It's the 26th, I'm right? Okay. All right. Kiana, you'll get us master calendar out as well with committee assignment.
Yes, I will ask you all to check your emails tomorrow, please. I'm going to send you all an email asking you for your first and second choices for committee assignments, because I would like to get that out before by the council meeting, if at all possible.
Okay.
And then I did have a question too regarding, we will have law and finance this month. Is that correct?
Get ready to
That's
say
correct.
the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so if we can, if you guys can respond to that like very quickly, That way, when we have our law and finance, we'll have the members in
Those
place.
chairs in place.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna send that out to you all tonight, actually.
Okay.
Can I just make a
Alright.
comment?
Say it again, Pam.
The calendar that we received from Miss Rosemary last year was great.
Yes,
It was the whole year.
yes.
It was all, you know, for the entire year, it was great. I would just say thanks for that. So if we could get something like that again, so helpful.
Good. Okay, we can do that.
You gonna do that, Mr. Mayor?
We can do that.
Putting a patent on my stuff.
It was just nice to kind of have a hard
Yeah,
copy. I love electronic, but you know, sometimes you just need that hard copy and bounce it
Right.
around all year. This has been great.
Good. Okay.
And
Good, good, good.
FYI, I believe our clerk of council, 6 months from her new position is coming up maybe in February or March. You want to check that out?
Okay.
Well, I can't make any promises that I can do what Ms. Brown did with the calendar. I thought it was great as well. I try to keep all mine electronically, but
I do too, but it was just nice to, you know.
Yeah, she
have
was
this-
acting like
there's
she
something
act like
about
she put out that calendar. That's a printable form, huh?
Well,
Not the way I did it.
Kiana, she is retired, so she does have a lot of.
But I am
keep-
not vice mayor.
Whatever you can get us, I'll put it on my own calendar.
All right, good stuff. All right,
I was gonna say that, but I didn't want y'all to think I was being shady.
all right. So we'll work on that calendar. If I have to give you some dates out there, I think a couple that I need to share with you, but I'll look into my master calendar. Excuse me. All right, number 5 on our agenda tonight is to discuss, consider, and vote on a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement Program and/or Local Transportation Improvement Program, and to execute contracts as required. What this is Tim, you want to just briefly go into what we're trying to do there with this in terms of Chester Road?
So as the resolution states, this is really just giving us the municipal manager the permission to go ahead and file the appropriate application with OPWC. The goal is to get some state or other money to help us repair Chester Road. So obviously something the village can do, but it's always nice if we can get some grant money to help us out, then we can use the rest of our funding someplace else where it's necessary.
Okay. So do I have a motion on the floor to, are there any other questions about this topic we just brought about, talking about the OPWC?
You said the repair Chester Road?
It is for, no. Remember, we only did phase 1, so there's
Right.
more to Chester Road.
So it's the other, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Would that be the north end? I guess the north end of Chester Road.
Mhm.
I believe it is, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're
North
doing
end.
more. No.
All right. So do I have I need a motion to authorize the municipal manager to file paperwork for the OPWC.
So moved.
All ayes.
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any objections? Very well. All right, so Tim, we can get that stuff moving, right? Because I did see something that's due on the 15th. Is that correct?
Yes, so as soon as you sign that, I'll have Nick to sign it. We can send it off to.
Okay.
our contact.
All right. Good.
Who seconded that motion?
Do what?
Somebody needed to second that motion.
Bobby seconded the motion. I wrote it down as Bobby seconded. Did you not, Bob?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, I didn't hear.
I wrote it down.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Number 6 is to conduct any other business, including passing motions, rule suspensions, executive sessions necessary to accomplish the foregoing. Is there anything that comes before this body other than what we've discussed tonight?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
This is just new business or open forum, right?
Yes, sir.
Have we posted for the village manager position?
We have not.
Where are we at with that?
We're going to be posting that by the end of this month. And I'm looking at 3 different avenues to post it. Center for Local Government is one. The other one is municipal managers, something association. That's 2. Another one, and it's the 3rd one too, Doobie.
And the plan is still the same to bring in someone and have Jerry work with them for a while.
Yes. Yep.
And you keep us posted on that.
Oh, absolutely.
So you said
Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
I'm sorry, you said possibly the end of this month that you'll get that posted.
Yes. Any other questions out there, team? All right. Well,
Ms. Boyd,
Ms. Boyd, I'm sorry, I didn't look up there. There you go. I can't hear you.
I didn't have my hand up last minute. Are you allowed to stay in this meeting when our recreation manager is going to start?
I prefer not, because I want to make sure that that is a definitive date before I put it out there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So if we don't have anything else for this body, I just need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
second.
And by the way, the village owes us a meal. We normally have a meal the first, our organization meeting.
Yep.
But because of COVID and some folk not wanting to get out there, hey, I get it, I understand it, and I respect it. So with that being said, we have to go to the level where we know we're safe. All right.
Send us some ice cream.
We're gonna get there. Get some ice cream. All right. Miss Boyd and Mr. Burkhalter, I have something for the both of you. I was under the weather last week, so I wasn't out too much last week. I don't have COVID, y'all, by the way. But I do have something for the both of you, and I will get with you between now and the end of this week. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, because I'm still waiting on that meal from Mr. Burkhalter, so maybe I'll get it then. Yeah. All right. So I appreciate everything y'all doing out there. Continue to be safe. You know, team, I want to say that we are going to go back to full, you know, in live person meetings. I want to say that. I want to say when, but I can't say when until I'm comfortable. These numbers are continuing to just like a roller coaster here in Hamilton County. So to continue to be safe out there, whatever y'all do.
Congratulations again, Vice Mayor Kiana.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes. Good stuff.
And Rosemary, you did a great job.
Yes, she did.
Thank you guys for your cooperation.
Yes. All right. Good stuff. So with that being said, we did move a motion for adjournment, I believe, correct?
I seconded.
Moved and
Yes.
second.
All right. All eyes to the motion.
All right.
Aye.
There are no objections. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Continue to be safe out and stay warm. It's cold.
It's cold out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're
Bye,
welcome.
everybody.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.